Let us pray. Gracious God and light of the world, today we come before you to acknowledge these new graduates and to celebrate their special achievement. No doubt they have learned a lot of big words through the years of their education, but today we use the simplest words that remain as important as ever. First, we say, wow, recognizing our immense good fortune in waking up to a world where there's so much to see and still more to discover, where growth happens and new life emerges, and where beauty is always before us if we only know where to look. We also say thanks. Thank you for these graduates. Thank you for their inquisitive minds, hard work, and their resilience in the face of obstacles. Thank you that they dared to dream of a better tomorrow and that they then took 1,000 small steps in pursuit of that dream. They have proven to be go-getters, and we know there's so much more to get and also to give. So for that, we finally say help. Help them on the road that lies ahead. Give them meaningful work to do and countless ways to do it. Where they see the world broken, give them a heart to fix what they can. When the way is dark, help them to find a light. When they are discouraged along the way, revive their hope and grant them rest. And let love always be their success. For this we pray. Amen. My name is Travis Tamarius, and I serve as our university chaplain. And on behalf of the entire William Woods community, it's my privilege to welcome you to the 2021 William Woods University Commencement Ceremony. I have just a few announcements before we begin. In the very unlikely event of an emergency requiring evacuation, we will interrupt the ceremony with information and important instructions. So please take note of the nearest exit to you. Those who are seated in the back half of the auditorium, you would dismiss through the doors through which you arrived into the auditorium. And then those who are seated in the front half of the auditorium would exit to the doors on the side up in the front. And staff members will be stationed at these doors to assist you. For the continued safety of our community, we also ask that you please observe the COVID protocols that still remain currently in place during your time on William Woods campus. Our ceremony is slightly modified today for the safety of participants. Graduates will receive their diploma covers by picking them up on the table that's to my right, and you may pause for a photograph before descending the stairs to return to your seat. At this time, we ask that you also please double-check your electronic devices to make sure they are set to silent so that we can minimize any disruptions to the ceremony. I would also like to introduce our platform party. Beginning to your left on the front row, Dr. Charlotte Miller, Professor of Education and your commencement speaker for today. Dr. Amy Sapp, Vice President for Academic Affairs and Academic Dean. And in the second row, from left to right, Dr. Jim Kincannon, Professor of Education and Director of the School of Education. Dr. Christy Lorenz, Professor of Education. Dr. Tom Frankman, Professor of Education and our Faculty Marshal. And also Dr. Eric Hilskemper, Professor of English and Director of the School of Humanities. At this time, I would like to welcome Dr. Jim Kincannon to the podium to introduce our commencement speaker.
Thank you, Travis. Congratulations, graduates. Very proud of all of you. It is my pleasure to introduce Dr. Charlotte Miller. Dr. Miller currently serves as the Chair of Field and Clinical Experiences and Professor for the School of Education. Dr. Miller teaches several graduate-level advanced certification courses, and in the past 3 years has contributed significantly to her role as the dissertation chair and as a dissertation committee member. Interestingly, Dr. Miller is one of the few instructors to teach at every degree level here at William Woods University, from our undergraduate to doctoral program, signifying her expansive contributions to teacher and teacher leader development. Prior to her role at William Woods University, Dr. Miller held impressive K-12 administrative positions. I am pleased to announce Dr. Miller.
Thank you, Dr. Kincannon. I've been at William Woods 3 years now, and it's such a joy to be here, and I know that you have found that to be true as well. In preparation for this speech, I watched many YouTube videos suggested by my son. Well, they were really inspiring to me. It's just too bad that they're not here today. Also, my grown son said he'd like to read my speech to make sure that I did not bore the audience. When I got it back, it was full of red marks, and you teachers can appreciate that. So anyway, lesson learned there. Don't give it to your son. But anyway, congratulations, graduates, on your great accomplishment. This is such a great day for you and your family. You have set out on this goal and achieved. We in William Woods are so very proud of you and the work that you have done. Some of you are looking forward to becoming that first principal or superintendent, or you're serving in other leadership roles within our schools. Most of you, and many, are teachers or school leaders now. You know and understand the passion, inspiration, and persistence it takes in our schools today. Talk about hard work. It has at times been a challenging road, especially during this last year, with managing both home and school, virtual, in-person, lockdowns, masks, COVID testing, lack of toilet paper and hand sanitizer. Wow, what a year. You, the teachers and school leaders, have risen to that challenge. You have learned to problem solve, be flexible, collaborate, and come together in your schools for meeting the needs of our children. Don't you feel after this year that you can do anything? I want to consider some of the lessons learned in this educational journey. The first one, we can make it through challenging times with that passion and persistence. You've proved that this past year. From a young age, I always wanted to be a teacher. Many of you might relate. Others, well, you wanted to be a Major League Baseball player, a famous actor, doctor, chef, professional fisherman, surfer, musician, or a variety of other things besides being an educational leader. But for me, there was no doubt. But there was a roadblock. I was a senior in high school, sitting in the counselor's office. And at that time, the counselor guided your direction, told you, kind of suggested where to go next. Her words so clearly to me, Charlotte, college just isn't for you. You have excellent typing skills, and you're the best in the class. You will not be able to make it in college. Yes, I was a great typist, and yes, I would have been a good administrative assistant, but that was not my passion. I was defeated and went home discouraged. I talked to my parents about the discussion with the counselor. My mom and dad neither completing college, and my mom not completing high school. I remember them saying, Charlotte, you can do anything you want to do. We will find a way to support you. That was the beginning, off to college, about 75 miles from home. I am telling you, it wasn't easy. In fact, it was challenging, and every semester for the first 2 years, midway, I'd call home, say to my dad, I can't do this. I want to come home. I can remember my dad's voice. He said, yes, you can quit, but you're going to finish this semester. Well, that was all it took for me. 4 years after starting college, I finished and graduated and became a teacher, certified as a teacher, and ready to start my teaching career. My dad was indeed my first encourager and supporter. He believed in me. I tell you that story because of the lessons learned in the many years that I've been in education. It does indeed take continued passion, continued, continued persistent, but also inspiration and support from others. I found that in my parents. Many of you have similar stories about your early years and the people that encouraged you along your path. For the next 15 years, I served as a teacher, surrounded by family, amazing teachers, mentors who continued to encourage me. But I remember a principal, Dr. Miller, no relation. He was a true leader when little was known about effective leadership. He was a leader in those times. Every child in our school was a priority to him. He truly focused on teaching and learning and did not give up on any student. His persistence and passion for learning was evident. He found time to engage in countless conversations with me about improving schools and learning for all children, even those struggling and hard to reach. I can see now how that impacted my beliefs and the values in continuous learning. He saw and identified the leader in me. So back to school. I got my master's in school leadership, and why not keep going? I got my educational specialist in superintendency, all amid having 2 young children. How many of you have found yourself mentored by great teachers or school leaders that push you outside of your comfort zone and believed in you? Be willing to take those risks and consider those students who years later found you made a difference in their lives. Sometimes we do not even know the impact we have. Dr. Miller modeled that passion for me. His persistence and his inspiration was apparent to many. I'm not sure he even knew that impact, and sometimes we don't as well. So the lesson learned, look for your mentors. Look for those people that inspire you. I accepted my first principal position in Northeast Missouri, again, mentored and inspired by the passion of outstanding school leaders. I grew through those first years. I now saw myself as a teacher of teachers. Interesting enough, I found myself back in the same school as Dr. Miller. I sat in his desk and in his room, and I could hear the inspiration and the leadership that he modeled. So the lesson learned here, you never know the impact that you will have on another. Now you have opportunities to inspire, encourage leadership, and instill success for every student you serve. Make that be your charge today. Reach out and encourage others to lead and be that teacher of teachers. Then unforeseen family crisis took me out of Missouri to be closer to family. I moved to Colorado and accepted a position as a principal of an elementary school and a district in crisis, targeted under school improvement and due to be taken over by the state of Colorado. This school was challenged by 99% poverty, 98% second language learners, and the lowest achieving in the state of Colorado. Wow. The great thing about this school that I noticed when I first entered this building, the passion that the teachers had. There was low teacher turnout, and the families trusted their schools and their school teachers and leaders. I learned so much from them in those 2 years. I recognized that passion within the staff. The teachers loved these children and spent hours taking care of their immediate needs. But they needed focus and strategies for teaching and learning. Those 2 years were by far the best, hardest, and most impactful years of my life. The hard work, persistence, and passion to succeed inspired all the staff, students, and families. We felt a sense of urgency, and failure was not an option. So you never know where life's going to take you. Look for those opportunities. Lesson learned. Even in the toughest situations, love what you do, love the child, and love the opportunities that come before you. As time continued, I found myself back in Missouri and continued to lead as a superintendent, surrounded now by colleagues that believed in continuous improvement and professional growth. I came to a stark reality that I now was the one to inspire and lead a generation of teachers and school leaders. Many of you are now the ones our teachers and principals look up to. Now more than ever, students will come back to our classrooms with gaps in learning and challenges emotionally. The need for great leaders has never been so critical. After 37 years retired from K-12, soon after retirement, I remembered the words of my dad, "You can do anything." So, back to school once again, attaining my doctorate with my grandchildren, taking it all in. And by the way, I was still a great typist, and it really did come in handy. For those getting their doctorate, I know you feel a sense of accomplishment. It has been a long road of coursework and then the completion of your dissertation, all in the midst of this pandemic. Your hard work, sleepless nights, many, many, many revisions. I have several of you out there. You know what I mean. I hope you found this process rewarding. I had the opportunity to chair and serve on many dissertation committees. Your scholarly work from so many educational areas added to our wealth of knowledge. Be proud of your great work. Continue to be a learner. Don't let your dissertation collect dust. Use your knowledge to move your school forward and make them better each year. For those who are obtaining their educational specialists, it's not too late to begin your doctorate. Okay, well, maybe take a breath or two and then start. I tell you these stories to let you know that life's opportunities are all around. Opportunities to serve with passion, persistence, and at times, a sense of urgency. Consider those who encouraged you along your journey and find those opportunities to encourage and inspire others. Now's your time to lead. The students in our schools will be fortunate to have you as their leaders. Believe in yourself. As said by Henry Ford, if you think you can or think you can't, you are so right. What is going to be your story? Sheryl Sandberg said, "Leadership is about making others better as a result of your presence and making sure that impact lasts in your absence." Celebrate today, keep what's important important, and the final lesson, keep the passion for teaching and learning, be persistent in all that you do, and look to inspire. Congratulations on your great accomplishment.
Thank you, Dr. Miller. We sincerely appreciate you joining us for this special occasion and sharing your stories with our graduates. I'm sure many of those things you all can personally relate to. And now it's time. So will the candidates for degrees please stand? In accordance with the unanimous directive of the Board of Trustees, it is my esteemed pleasure to bring you greetings, graduates, to welcome you and to confer upon you the appropriate degrees. By the authority invested in me by the President of William Woods University and by the State of Missouri, I take great pleasure in conferring upon each of you the degree to which you are entitled, with all rights, honors, and privileges appertaining. My warmest congratulations to each of you, and also to the parents, families, spouses, and friends who supported you on this journey. You may now be seated. We're going to proceed with the awarding of degrees to this year's graduates now. Dr. Hilskemper will call the graduates to the platform. I'm going to ask for your assistance in maintaining the ceremony by holding your applause until all degrees have been awarded. However, we invite family members of our graduates to stand and be recognized when the name of your graduate is called.
William V. Cobb, The Impacts of Relationships on the Academic Success of Students in the High School Learning Environment. Vicki Lenore Elvis, Middle School Success Factors, a phenomenological study of 2 sixth-grade centers in a Midwestern suburban school district. Stephanie Renee Basham, Parental Advocacy Following Parents as Teachers Training. Shannon Lee Callahan, The Effect of Restorative Practices on Students in a Traditional High School, a case study in a large Midwestern city. Carolyn Nadine Chrisman, Superintendent Tenure and Student Achievement. Deanne Coleman, Non-Advisor Faculty Perceptions of Student Retention in Rural Missouri Community Colleges. Joshua Luke DePoe, Kindergarten Teachers' Perceptions of Readiness Factors. Laura L. Akins, Kindergarten Readiness and Teachers' Perceptions of Skills Needed for Kindergarten. Christopher Michael Green, The Effects of Male Mentoring on the Academic Outcomes of Black Males in Urban Schools. Anna M. Harris Barnes, Secondary Trauma and High School Administrators. Emily Lynn Howell, Impact on Student Achievement Equity in Schools, which use the Leader in Me program. Brian Hudson, The Relationship Between School Autonomy and Job Satisfaction of Principals in High Poverty Schools. Amy Marie Jansen, The Effects of Smartphone-Based Mindfulness Application Use on Special Education Teachers' Reported Burnout Levels and Job-Related Feelings. Shannon Beth LeGrand, a phenomenological study of transformative technology integration at the secondary level and the impact of remote learning during the COVID-19 shutdown. Randall Brent Maglinger, Innovative Financial Practices for Public Education. Grace Ann Milano, the effect of virtual learning on the graduation rate for at-risk students. Peggy Kathleen Miller, the impact of parental involvement on the reading levels of Tier 2 and Tier 3 primary-aged students. David John Mitchell, Effective Middle Schools, a comparison of the correlates of effective schools and middle school concepts most prominently found in high-performing Midwest suburban middle schools. Matthew James Ross, Missouri teachers' perceived feeling of preparedness and safety after practicing ALICE active shooter response. Ryan DeMar Smith, Sr. How does gender and race affect the perception of discipline at the secondary level? Tori Lee Snitker, Teachers' Perceptions of Administration Traits and School Climate. Cleora Woods Taylor, the effects of parental involvement on the academic achievement of middle school girls of color. Mandy Tolan, the impact of professional learning through social media on educator self-efficacy. Sarah Wickham, how school leaders experience and persist in efforts of diversity, equity, and inclusion using culturally responsive leadership. Elizabeth Reve Winnicky, analysis of the impact of training on teachers' perceptions of co-teaching. Carrie Jo Nettles, the influence of assessment programs on ACT scores and college readiness in Missouri schools. Lori Ann Mefford, factors influencing intermediate schools' classroom structures, self-contained versus departmentalized structures. Carrie Ann Pittman, Carolyn Adele Dean. Casey Michelle Carnes. Jason Morris Carnes. Jennifer Ford. Ryan M. Ford.
Okay, how about a warm congratulations to our class of 2021? Now, graduates, I know that all of you are well aware that you did not get here alone, so I ask that you take a moment to stand and give some applause to the family and friends in the auditorium and those watching from home who supported you in this journey. I congratulate all of you on this great milestone in your academic studies, and I wish you success as you continue to learn, grow, and pursue your dreams. All of us at William Woods are extremely proud of all of you and your accomplishments, and we look forward to watching your future success, both professionally and personally. I hope you continue to embrace the change that leads to success. And with that, the 151st commencement of William Woods University is now adjourned. We ask that guests please remain seated until the graduates have exited the auditorium. And graduates, please follow Dr. Hilskemper. He will lead you out of the auditorium and over to our amphitheater, where you will be greeted by faculty and may reconnect with your guests.